All right, I want to go over this trade I took earlier. So context first, as always. Um, if we go to NQ, right, we can see that NQ held this support overnight, and that's exactly what I wanted to see. Last night, when I typed this out, I said that it could be a slow day, and NQ is a weaker instrument, so I want to pay attention to if it can hold support. Okay, and that's exactly what it did pre-market. So that held support, and ES was making new highs, as we can see. Not much levels to go off of here. It's just, you know, much stronger. So while NQ held that level, right, what I was looking at now was a pullback for an area to go long. Okay. Now, normally I would look for a demand zone here, which there was, but ES never made it back to any demand. It just barely pulled back. And Q, on the other hand, if we go from the lows to the highs, you can see it pulled back into its 50% retracement where volume really kicked in right here. Okay, volume kicked in here. And same thing with ES, volume kicked in. Now, I used the heat map to confirm this trade, and I'll show you exactly what I saw. But other than not having a level here, SPY was at its VWAP. Okay, so what I saw on the heat map now was when we had that dip down. Look at all of this selling here. I would show you the live example on Motive Wave itself, but their their data for what happened earlier in the day disappears. So I screenshotted it instead. So when we dipped down, you can see all of these bids got filled. Right, there was a passive buyer sitting here, and all of this aggressive selling hit. You can see this entire area from around the 95s to 91s. All of this was negative delta, right? There was a lot of selling going on here, and price couldn't get lower. Okay, so you can see two bids got filled here, two large bids got filled, and then when we came back in, we had a short pop up, dip back down, and then uh, a bid stepped in here. So once we cleared this area, a bid stepped in here. So that's when I made my entry here. So again, it was the 95s to 91s. That was a lot of selling, which is this area here. And they couldn't go nowhere. So that's where I made my entry. And again, NQ was doing this high volume rejection candle right at its 50% retracement. SPY at VWAP, and I took the ES long. So I trimmed it here where the original selling came from. On the 5 minute, you can see that basing candle in the drop. I trimmed some when we got to that area, and that's why I was comfortable enough to hold my runner through this pullback. I went super light on this because again, it's an all-time high. It's a very risky trade to try to target a level that's not non-existent. So I simply targeted the last high. Got about 12 points out of this. And if we were to look at the footprint chart here, it's pretty similar to what we saw on the heat map. Whenever it loads, okay, you could see that on this dip down, you can see all of the selling, all of the negative delta. So you can see the same thing on the footprint, but obviously the entry would not have been as precise because you would have to wait for these candles to close and stuff like that. So that's where so far I'm seeing the heat map be beneficial. Is that the entries are a lot tighter. You can get a tighter risk reward. And just to go over this relative strength and weakness again, NQ was stronger in the morning, which led to rejection. I did not have a level here for it to reject, so that's a new level that we're going to have to keep an eye on. But same thing, when it found support, right, it was weaker than ES. And we want to see the weak index hold support for something to be bullish. Okay, so all of that is what I'm looking at when I'm placing a trade. I don't like to long a gap up or long a rally like this, but there's no stopping ES right now. Something about it does kind of feel like it's an exhaustion push, but we'll have to wait and see. Because today is a lower volume day with the banks being closed, so we'll see what the rest of the week brings us. I'll keep this one nice and short. If you're learning anything, please subscribe. If you have any questions, leave a comment. I'll get back to you. Thanks for watching.